welcome. We're out in the Elgin OPP marine vessel. It's a 24-foot sea swirl. It's the May long weekend and we're just out here making sure everybody stays safe this weekend. Some of the things that we're looking for is we're stopping the boats, checking for proper safety equipment, looking for life jackets, making sure everybody has their life jackets, they fit properly. The other safety equipment on board, you know, a rope, a paddle, depending on the size of the vessel. Obviously, we're also looking for people drinking and boating, so that's one of our priorities, is make sure that everybody has a safe weekend, enjoys their weekend, but obviously safety is paramount. So ensuring their boats are properly equipped, making sure they have the boating competency card, that's another thing that we're looking for. They're not drinking and boating, and obviously that they're driving safely. So those are some of the key things that we're looking for this weekend. How are you doing today? Good. Any luck? No? Yeah? Just checking for safety gear. You have all your safety equipment? Sitting on all the life jackets. You have a boating competency card? Whereabouts is that? Whoop. Yeah, let me just grab that. Oh, okay. Perfect. All right. Enjoy. Cheers. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, any tips for us?
Nobody's catching much. Yeah. Yeah, so. Any alcohol on board?
Yeah.
Yeah, no? No. Yeah, no. All right. Have a good day.
See you guys.
Some of the biggest things that we see here for boaters and swimmers, we'll start with the boaters. We see people really not going out prepared. So they leave without telling anybody where they're going, what time they're going to be back. So that's probably very important, you know, to let people know where you're going, what time you're expected back, you know, the type of boat that you're in. So that's the first thing, is preparing. The other thing is obviously checking the weather and knowing where you're going. The other thing is obviously having your equipment ready and having the proper equipment on board. So often we find people not prepared. They have a cell phone, but they don't realize that there's some areas that it doesn't work. So having a marine radio on board is also key, making sure that their boat is properly fueled and kind of preparing for the worst. So some of the things that we've seen is people run out of fuel and then are adrift and they don't have an anchor, so they just keep drifting. They call in, they have no idea where they are. Lake Erie is a big lake, so it takes some time to find somebody out here if they're lost. So knowing where you are, so having some means of determining your location, a GPS obviously is the best thing. But obviously having a backup, if your power goes out in your boat, how are you going to deal with that? Do you have lighting? Do you have signaling devices? So that's what part of the proper equipment is all about, is it covers all those areas: signaling devices, safety devices, an anchor or a paddle, some means to get you somewhere or keep you in a location that's safe. So just being prepared. Obviously the next thing is, once you're out there, is knowing your own limitations. So the weather, knowing what type of weather that you're able to operate in. Just because you have your boating competency card doesn't necessarily automatically mean you know how to operate a boat. That simply educates you on kind of what we call the rules of the road and some of the safety precautions. But you know, real world experience in boating, obviously if the weather's not very good, Lake Erie weather can change very quickly. It can become very rough out here. So knowing your limitations, not venturing too far from shore if you're unsure. Obviously the size of your boat also determines how far from shore you should get. And obviously who you're taking with you. You know, if somebody has medical conditions or you have small kids, just be very careful, because like I said, it can turn very nasty out here very quickly. So one of the things we're obviously out here for is, you know, if somebody's in distress, if there's a boater in distress, and one of those things, again, it all comes back to proper planning. But if you do run into trouble, hopefully you have a means to communicate, whether that be through cell phone or through a marine VHF radio. So if you are in distress and you call for help, you'll get a response from the Rescue Coordination Center in Trenton. So they will typically dispatch a Coast Guard unit or an auxiliary Coast Guard unit. Here in Port Stanley, as well as down in Port Burwell and Port Glasgow, there's auxiliary Coast Guard units, and they do a great job. So they are the first responders to a vessel in distress, and then we assist with either a search or a rescue. So obviously having your coordinates, a lat and long, a GPS location, will assist us. Obviously the nature of the distress, you know, are you out of fuel? Is the boat sinking? Is there a medical emergency? Helps us. Having some type of signaling device, because oftentimes when we have vessels in distress, if they're out of fuel or their battery's dead, they have no way of lighting or finding or signaling to us. So having flares or some type of signaling device greatly assists us. And again, preparing for that. Are you prepared out there? Do you have a little bit of food? Do you have water? And, you know, perhaps warmth if it gets cold at night, and being prepared. So basically a rescue for us, we assist the Coast Guard with search and rescues and recoveries, but primarily they do a great job and we're there to assist them. Well, as you can see, it's a great day here at the main beach in Port Stanley. Everybody's having a good time, but certain safety tips that obviously you have to look for. Today it's a fairly calm day out here, but if the wind were to pick up, we could get some rip currents or undertows going on in here. So you have to be careful if you have small kids, obviously paying very close attention to them. If they're not good swimmers, putting them in life jackets, but paying really close attention. Obviously alcohol can cause some problems if you're swimming. Oftentimes it's fairly shallow here. Right now we're a ways out, we're in 6 feet of water, so people tend to venture out and don't know their own swimming ability and perhaps get pulled out further. So you have to be very careful. It can be very dangerous. So obviously, again, knowing your limitations, your swimming limitations. There are lifeguards here and they do a great job of keeping everybody safe, but it's your own responsibility too, making sure that you're safe, keeping your family safe. Behind us, we have the main pier out there. Oftentimes people swim out there, which can be very dangerous. There's lots of sharp rocks and lots of undertows there when the waves start crashing, so you have to be very careful. But the main thing here is when the weather picks up, when the wind picks up, is the undertows and the large waves coming in that can knock you down. So making sure you're safe, keeping track of everybody that's, you know, your friends, your children, and, you know, that'll hopefully prevent any tragedies. If there is, you know, something go on, somebody goes missing, obviously we want everybody's cooperation. Usually we try and get everybody out of the water. So listening for the lifeguards, if they're blowing their whistle, asking everybody to get out of the water so we can search for somebody. Paying attention, the flags, there's flags that the lifeguards will fly basing the water conditions or the wind conditions. So have a look at that, and obviously just going in knowing that, you know, if it is rough, that you have to take extra precaution. Yeah, obviously, you know, you can see that we're out here. It's a great day to be in the boat, long weekend. Everybody thinks, wow, that must be a great job, but, you know, sometimes being out here, we see some tragic circumstances. So, you know, that's kind of the flip side. You know, people say, that's great, that's a great job being on the boat, but, you know, spending 8 hours in the boat, we're not always out here when it's great weather. And then obviously having to deal with, you know, search for missing people, drownings. It does take its toll, obviously, on the emergency personnel, whether it be the police, fire, ambulance, auxiliary Coast Guard, that have to obviously try and find that person that's lost their life, deal with the family in very tragic and sad circumstances. So yeah, it can be very difficult sometimes. I've been with the OPP for 21 years now, and you know, I've seen a lot of great things, but you know, the downside of it is most of the time when people are calling us, it's not for a good reason. They're not inviting us to the birthday party, or, you know, something bad is going on in their life, something tragic has happened. So, you know, I like this job because it allows us to interact in a positive way. You know, meeting the people out, making sure they're safe. You know, presenting a positive image to them. Obviously, there is the odd time where we have to deal with the tragic circumstances, and that's the tough part of the job, but obviously the positives are far outweigh the negatives, and you know, just knowing that we're out here able to help people, talk to the kids, hopefully leave a good impression with them, that makes this job worthwhile. So we made our way down from Port Stanley to Port Bruce on our way to Port Burwell. Basically the Marine unit covers right from Port Glasgow all the way to Port Burwell, so about 100 nautical miles we look after of shoreline. Obviously right out to the American border out to the lake there, so quite a large area to cover, but we stay pretty close to shore. That's where the majority of the boaters are, and obviously if people get in distress, they're usually within a couple kilometers normally of the shore. There are times when people are a little bit further out when they're going across to the United States or traveling a long distance, but usually within a couple kilometers of the shore. So we do have a large area, and we patrol up and down, obviously again checking boaters, checking fishermen that are out. We've got here a few boaters around trying to catch some fish, so we're going to go have a chat with them. Just make sure that they're not drinking and boating, make sure they have all their safety equipment, and obviously hopefully having a good time. Maybe they're catching something. Afternoon. Good. Having any luck? Few? Yeah, perch? Yeah. Good. Just making sure everybody's having a good time. Everybody's got their safety gear. Good. All right, enjoy. No. Yeah, same yesterday. Oh. Really? No, no. No, nobody seems to be getting much, so. Have a good day. With the vessel, drinking on a vessel, it has to be anchored. It has to be properly equipped. So what we look at is permanent cooking facilities. So you just can't strap a Coleman stove onto your boat. Permanent washroom facility. So again, you just can't have the porta potty, and sleeping accommodation. So really, it's almost like a motorhome. So you can't have a 14-foot boat, obviously, you know, a little fishing boat, and consider that as, you know, anchor it and have a Coleman stove and a porta potty and a sleeping bag and call that basically your residence. So really, for liquor, that's the only time that you can have consumed liquor on a boat is when you have all of those criteria. As far as the other things, the biggest things that obviously we're looking for is the safety equipment. Life jackets, having one life jacket for each person on board, and that life jacket has to be of proper size for that person. The fines can get fairly expensive, around $300 for not having a life jacket. At one time the fine used to be $300, or the fine was just for not having the proper number of life jackets. Now there's a fine for each life jacket that you're missing, so it can be fairly expensive. Most of the fines are fairly expensive, over $100, you know, not having the proper equipment such as a sound signaling device, a whistle, a bailer, depending on the size of the boat, you know, a paddle, anchor rope, proper lighting. So all of those, really the best resource for people if they want to find out what they need for their boat is to go online. Transport Canada has a great site. They have a booklet that you can get online, the Safe Boating Guide, and it outlines based on the type of vessel that you have, tells you everything that you need to meet the legal requirements. So that's the best guide for people if they want to properly equip their boat to go on that site and check it out. Yeah, so for us really, being out here in the Marine Patrol, it's really about visibility, just getting out there and meeting the people. Waving the flag, letting people we're out here, we're checking people. It's not about ruining people's weekends. It's about ensuring everybody's safety, you know, especially on long weekends. There's so many tragedies that happen in the province, and you know, we're just trying to get out here and prevent some of those tragedies from happening. So ensuring everybody's having a good time, but a safe time, because certainly we don't want to see any tragedies on our waters or on our roadways. So these long weekends, obviously we have extra people out there on patrol, on the roadways, on the waterways. But you know, throughout the summer months, the warmer weather, we're always out here checking. And you know, we want people to know that we're out here. We want people to see us. It's not about sneaking around. It's about meeting the people and saying hi and seeing how they're doing, and that communication, that community policing. You know, so we get to know the people, and they feel safe and secure and know that we're out here to help. How's it going? Any luck? Few perch? Yeah. Got all your safety equipment on board? Life jackets for everybody? Okay. Who's operating? You got your competency card? Perfect. All right, that's okay. Just making sure everybody's safe and having a good weekend. All right.
Anybody else catching fish?
No.
Pretty slow. It's
Yeah.
straight down.
So that concludes our little tour this afternoon. Certainly want everybody to have a safe and enjoyable summer. For more resources, probably the best one is the Transport Canada site, so we'll have that posted there for you about boating safety. So make sure, have a great summer and stay safe.
I'm an auxiliary constable with the Elgin County O.P.P. I have been for the last 10 years. Today I was out on the boat, the Elgin County Marine Unit. The O.P.P. Auxiliary program is, in my opinion, one of the best auxiliary policing programs out there. The O.P.P. has a wide variety of opportunities for auxiliaries. It's very hands-on. Like I said, I've been on 10 years now with Elgin County, and I found it to be very rewarding. And the officers are great to work with, everything from ride-alongs to Marine Unit to community service events. Yeah, the auxiliary program has many benefits. One of them being it's a good way to, if you're planning on employment with OPP or any policing service for that matter, it's a good way to get hands-on, get experience, and it shows the OPP also. They get a chance to look at you and review your abilities and see how that goes. Also, the officers, for the most part, praise a lot of the auxiliaries in the way we're out there with them, night shift, day shift, whatever. We're sitting beside them. Like I said, the OPP is very hands-on. They'll treat the auxiliaries just like a regular member of the OPP. We assist them with everything from traffic control to special events, emergencies. We're right there beside them. We're no different.
In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, you got women on your mind. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find. If a daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If a daddy's poor, just do what you feel. Speed along the lane, you a down or a turn of 25. When the sun goes down, you can make it good and live by.